Hey there, welcome. I'm so glad you're joining me tableside. I'm going to try something different today. I'm going to show you how to make the sauce for the mac and cheese, the breadcrumb topping, but I'm not going to put it all together. What I'm going to do is make the sauce, make the crumbs, and then tomorrow when I make the pasta, I'm going to bring the sauce to just heat it up a little bit, mix the pasta, and then bake it. Because I find that when it's put into a pan and chilled and baked all together, the pasta tends to get a little softer than I like. And I really want it to have that ooey gooey macaroni and cheese pull that we all love. The key to a great macaroni and cheese starts with the sauce, am I right? And I like it to have a little bit of tang to it. Mine has some mustard powder, some Worcestershire, and a few cheese blend things that are a little unique. But the base of it all is a really good bechamel. So come along, I'm going to show you how to make a classic bechamel. This one has a little bit of cream in it to add a little bit of richness, because what's macaroni and cheese without richness? All right, let's talk ingredients. So a basic bechamel is pretty simple. It has equal parts of flour, AP, all-purpose flour, and butter. And I use unsalted butter. Today I have them in quarters because this is how I bought it. Or excuse me, yeah, quarters. So half sticks and salt and pepper. Now that's just the basic white sauce. For bechamel, we always start with equal parts butter and flour. And we're going to make a roux, which I know it's not Italian, it's French. French definitely know what they're doing. So I have 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter here, and then I'm going to sprinkle in equal amounts of all-purpose flour. And I'm just going to start mixing this around, and you'll see it's going to get kind of clumpy looking. But as the butter melts, that clumpiness is going to turn into something really creamy. So I have a quart of milk. That's about 4 cups, or it is 4 cups. I have a cup and a quarter of heavy cream. Next up, some salt, pepper, and mustard powder, which adds the perfect amount of tang, along with my favorite pop, which is Worcestershire sauce. Something that's not always easy to say, am I right? It's like coating the spoon perfectly. It's like, okay, let's try it. Has a nice little bit of salt right at the end. You barely notice the Worcestershire. I could use a little more pepper, I will say. It was kind of light on the pepper, so I'm going to add a titch more pepper. I'm actually going to add a titch more pepper, and I think another little plop of Worcestershire, just a bit, just a dribble. Okay. I use a blend, I think I talked about it in the beginning a little bit, of sharp cheddar and a white cheddar. So I use an extra sharp white cheddar and a sharp yellow cheddar. And then my other thing I add, let's make sure this isn't going to go flying in there again, is this purple rind wine cheese. This is a Cab Sav cheese from Vitano. They started out making, I think it was not a Montepulciano. It's really going to bug me now. Now I can't remember which one they started out with that they don't have anymore. And I get this at Costco. So whatever wine flavored cheese, a Syrah they've had, that's what I buy. But it adds this nutty, sharp flavor. I've also used an unexpected cheddar as well. And you'll notice that the pan is off the heat. Never add the cheese. And I know it looks like a lot, but come on, it's macaroni and cheese. And then this is the Bella Vitano, just a cup of that will do it. And then instead of trying to pretend like a whisk is going to work its magic there, I find a flat edge of a wooden spoon is a far better option. I started to say why I use take it off the heat, because I don't want the cheese to burn on the bottom of the pan, and also to get super stringy. And I find, look at it melting. It just melts beautifully like this. So now I've made the base of my sauce for the mac and cheese. Tomorrow I'm going to cook the pasta, and I'll just put this in a container until tomorrow, refrigerate it, and then I'll just heat it on the stove, bring it back to liquid, temperature or liquidity like this, to where you could then toss it with the cooked pasta, and we will be ready to go. So you give this, I don't know, about 3 minutes to all melt together, and it's going to be really rich and creamy and ready for all of that pasta. Oh, and by the way, I'm using Celentani. I love it. All those curves. You could use fusilli. Something, elbow if you're a little more traditional. I am not. I like that pasta to get in the hole that's down the middle of this. So, all right, I'm going to keep melting, and then we're going to make our topping for the macaroni and cheese. The topping for the macaroni and cheese, and it's super simple. We're going to do it on the stove. It's a little bit of that leftover butter, some olive oil, panko breadcrumbs, garlic, and then salt and a little bit of Parmesan. But the method in which we do it is what's going to make sure that the cheese doesn't get all gummy on top and all of that. So come on over and I'll show you how I'm doing it. So on the stove, we have a little bit of butter melting. And to that, we're going to add some olive oil, because it makes a nice blend, and the olive oil helps brown it really well, and the butter adds so much flavor. So we're going to melt those two together, and they're going to get all golden and bubbly. Once the butter is melted, we'll sprinkle in the garlic just to brown it and flavor that butter a bit. Swirl it around, give it a little toss, and then it's time to add in our breadcrumbs. And then we're just going to toast the breadcrumbs all up until they are golden brown. One last tip about the breadcrumbs is if you let them sit in the pan to cool, the pan's still going to be hot. So periodically make sure you toss the breadcrumbs from the bottom, so the ones on the bottom aren't inadvertently burned. Okay, I'm just going to transfer this to a bowl, a shallow one, to cool. And then once they're cool, I'm going to stir in the Parmesan cheese, and we have our topping all made for our macaroni and cheese. Tomorrow what I'll do is cook up my pasta, about a pound of the cavatappi. I think I said Celentani. Did I say cavatappi or Celentani? Oh, Celentani. You could do cavatappi too, either way. I just like it because it has, like I said, that little hole like a bucatini down the center. Anyway, I'll cook that up, drain it really good. I will heat this sauce back up. Remember, not in this pan. Pour the whole thing into my 9x13 baking dish. Then I'm going to store the breadcrumbs overnight. They work great in the fridge. You can just put them in a Ziploc and refrigerate them. And then I'm going to sprinkle it on top, dot more butter on, and then put the whole thing in the oven to bake. I've kind of decided this is a better way to go than pre-mixing everything, because when it's pre-mixed and it sits in the sauce, it soaks up, the pasta soaks up all that cheese, and I think you really miss out on that really luxurious creamy cheese pull. So thanks so much for being here, and see you next time, where I know we're going to be making something else really good. So our macaroni and cheese is perfectly smooth and creamy. The sauce, I'm so excited. Oh, I literally could just cook up pasta right now and just eat it like this, which who's to say you can't, because it's a delicious cheese sauce. It would be even good over vegetables. So a couple of tips. You might have noticed, because I was running around making this, if the sauce sets up a bit, when you take it off the heat, the cheese may not melt as readily. It's okay to put it back on the heat for just a little bit, but make sure you're whisking and stirring the whole time. So that's the first tip. The second tip is, when you go to refrigerate this, and I might know this from experience, if you take this whole pan, let it come to room temperature, and then put it in the fridge, and then bring it out of the fridge the next day and put it on the stove, your sauce is going to burn on the bottom. So make sure you transfer this to something completely different and then put it in the pan to heat for tomorrow. I might know that from experience. So, all right, we're going to go make the crumb topping, and then I'll talk you through the rest of it.